Oh no. Oh, hi everybody. Sorry. We lost a stream. It did just give me a warning sign right as soon as we went live, so that's not extremely helpful for me to to kick this off. But hi everybody. Welcome to the new year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year.
Absolutely. So, this is our first live for 2024. Excited to kind of be back and sharing stories and just sharing some of the things that we're doing coming up in 2024, and looking forward to kind of sharing some of that knowledge here in this space. So I wanted to welcome those who have been with us, those who have not, who are joining live or watching this later. We are grateful to have you here. I am Eileen Grimes, Chief Growth Officer for Jalen Consulting Group. I am here with Jen Kronberger, our founder, Chief Inspiration Officer. I'll let you say hi.
Hi. It's good to be here.
It is. It is. It is good to be here. Just period. End of story.
Yes, grateful all around.
Yeah,
we're upright and breathing. That's number one, right?
absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we had started last year, we started talking through storytelling, and which was definitely one of the pieces that a lot of people had reached out about, were interested in learning more about. And so one of the things that we've wanted to do for a long time, not just because of these LinkedIn lives, but was really share other stories in leadership and B.R.A.V.E. And so with that, we are so lucky to have a guest on with us today to talk through her B.R.A.V.E. story and her leadership story with us. So Colleen, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, but we are just so grateful to have you here today to share space with us for this bit of time, and have everyone get to know you a little bit more.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Eileen and Jen, and it's a pleasure for me, and I'm grateful to be here. So I'm an efficiency expert. I help companies improve their processes, improve their transaction times, automate, make life better for the employees through automation, process improvement. And the reason why I took the B.R.A.V.E. Human Leadership Accelerator program is because I'd seen Jen on a program a year or two ago, and I was very impressed by what her comments were around belonging, making employees feel better and safe in their environments. And I reached out to her actually in LinkedIn, and to my surprise, she responded to me and said, if you have any questions, please, reach out. And I was so impressed by someone that does TED Talks and has a consulting firm and is so well recognized author would reach out to this innocuous person that reaches out to them on LinkedIn. And so I started following her, and I decided that if the opportunity ever came up to participate in any of her forums, I would do that. And so luckily in the fall, I was able to attend the B.R.A.V.E. Human Leadership Accelerator program, and I benefited greatly from it because what impressed me the most is the fact that people are the biggest assets in an organization, and you need to invest in them and help them and hold space for them when they're not having a good day, good time, bad month, horrible divorce, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And although many companies talk that talk, I'm not so convinced that they apply it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, whether you're coming in from a consulting side of things, whether you're coming in as a leader in one of those organizations or one of those people, you can feel it. You can feel the difference. And knowing how to show up in those spaces, knowing how to show up in any of these spaces is incredibly important. And I think, I mean, even in the accelerator, like it's fun because the community that we build even together is something that you can't, I mean, you can't recreate it. That's what we're doing, right? We're learning these skills together in this space to be able to apply those outside. And this one was really special. So I felt like it was a lot of fun calling with you. And then Dina's actually coming on in a few weeks also, but it felt really special for us to be able to hold that space with you.
I felt the same. Like I felt that it was a very unique experience, and that although we come from different backgrounds, our experiences in the secular environment are the same. And what was interesting about Dina and I and the two of you is that we come from the same place. Like, let's build on our employees. Let's help them. Like, if we don't all cross the finish line, none of us do. None of us are successful. And that's really important.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Colleen. I think one of the things that you made really clear, I think, in the whole process is, you are open to learning. And I think the most beautiful thing that we can see in a leader anywhere is the thirst for improvement, the thirst for, how can I do better? And I don't just mean, just for doing it better's sake, right? I mean, for learning, how can I affect the people around me better? How can I hold space for them more often? How can I show up in a way that is, um, you know, bringing my true authentic self and not being afraid to show empathy and to be vulnerable? And I think watching your transition from the very beginning, that first day when we first started talking, to the last conversation we had during that accelerator program, I'll tell you, it was like night and day. I mean, you did the work. And I just wanted to say thank you for that, because that was powerful stuff.
Thank you. And I have to thank you, Jen, and Eileen, because it was your guidance of, I think I had a lot of the tools, but it's like, how do I apply them differently? And oftentimes that's the case. It's like, you have the skill set, but how can we be more empathetic, and how can we show better leadership to make sure that everyone can show up and be themselves in that space and we still complete our projects?
Definitely. And I'm going to speak for Jen here. You shouldn't speak for other people, but I'm speaking for Jen. um, I know from her background, right? There was the working with athletes from, from very, very young ages to professionals. And the same goes for anyone in these leadership positions, right? Whether you're brand new into a role where you are managing people or you have been there for decades, there is always room to improve. It might look different. It might be approached from a different perspective and different angle. And that we have tools. We certainly have tools. We've gotten to the point where we are with the tools that we have. It doesn't mean that there isn't an opportunity to improve, right? And for someone like me, I just, lifelong learning is always going to be a part of my life. Period. End of story. No matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, there is always an opportunity for growth. And I just, like Jen said, seeing that from you in this space was really, really incredible, and being open to it. Not everyone is necessarily open to the possibility that they can learn something new, that they can try something a little bit differently. And you exemplified that more than you can understand throughout this entire journey. And it was really amazing to see that. So with that being said, when we talk about brave, so belonging, resilience, authenticity, vulnerability, and empathy, where do you feel like you might have come into the program feeling really strong, maybe in one of those areas. Where do you feel like you have the most strength in those spaces right now?
I think certainly belonging, because it framed it differently. So I'm glad that you triggered my memory about sports psychology, which is Jen's background. And she said with the athletes, and I thought this is the most interesting piece, was that when they go out to train, they train on their most valuable asset, the thing that they do the best. That's what they practice first. And I would have thought, oh, well, they would have practiced where their weaknesses, but they don't. They practice on where their strength is. And that really reframed how I approach things after that, because you focus on the strengths first.
Yeah.
And find places for those people. And then back to where you were, I guess vulnerability. Like for me, it's like I don't always share that my arm fell off this morning, and so therefore I'm not feeling great or whatever. That it's okay for me as a leader too to show up and say, you know what, I'm not feeling great today or whatever.
Yeah, I think that part is really important too. I think, being able to be seen as human. This is something I used to talk to athletes about all the time is, one of the things that you see a team rally around a group of people who maybe on paper aren't the best team, but win the championship anyway. And people are like, how did they do that? Well, how'd they do that? Well, a lot of that has to do with that combined ability to play into each other's strengths and to know, hey, this is not my wheelhouse. This is not my lane. Eileen and I say this to each other all the time. I know what my lane is and what it's not.
Yeah.
And there are times where I might stumble in my lane, in the wrong lane, and say, oh, wait, let me put my turn signal back on and get out of here. That's you. That's not me. And it's important. It's important to know that, if you surround yourself with the right people, then really you just have to focus on what your strengths are and what you're good at and what you want to do. And, lean on other people to be able to fill in those other spaces and say, I don't have to be good at everything. Like that, there's no athlete out there that is the best at every single part of the sport they play. That's just not how it goes. And you just have to learn that and be okay with that. I think that's the bottom line is, learning how to rely on the things that we do well and, not have to be the best at everything. And that's hard sometimes.
It is hard sometimes, but it's also what I learned is it's also okay, right? And that as long as you're communicating well and being authentic with the team, the days that you're in the right lane but not feeling the best, that you can go to the team and they will cover those bases for you. And that's very key.
Definitely. Or even being able to say the dreaded words, I don't know. Right? But to have that space, that safe space that we've created as intentional leaders to say, I don't have the answer to that. And that's why you're here, or that's why we have these people that we can rely on, or something along those lines. You don't have to know everything, and you're certainly not going to. If we look at the speed of which technology is, expanding and growing, we're not going to. We're definitely not going to. And having set up those environments where we have other people that we know we can lean on. And every time I say I lean on, I just can't help but laugh. So, anyway, yeah, it's having that set up is incredibly important because there are always going to be other people that we know, and we need to rely on the skill sets that we have and continue to grow those and bring in other people into that circle to be able to deliver the best product, service, whatever it is that we can, because we've really focused in on our gifts. So I think it's such an important reminder, and one that's really hard, especially if I know, Colleen, with you and even with Jen, right? If you're starting out in a consulting space, or if you're a founder, or if you're, this solopreneur, and you've been doing everything for a very long period of time, to say, oh, I need to bring some other people in because I can't do all of this alone. I shouldn't be doing all of this alone. Obviously there's some space once we get to that point. But to be able to say, how do I delegate these things? How do I bring in the people that I can trust to put these things into place is really incredibly important, and a vulnerable step that we have to take as leaders. And vulnerability isn't just about sharing that, like you said, I lost my arm this morning. It's about sharing spaces. It's about sharing knowledge. It's about sharing that I don't know everything and need others. I need others to make my business grow, to deliver what we need to deliver, and be a part of this corporation, or just business ecostructure.
Yeah, no, I agree. Being able to identify where the gaps are and then escalating that to get those gaps filled, or accepting the risk that this won't get done because we don't have the skills to do it.
Yep.
That communication piece is something that I really learned as well from this course, is that being authentic in how we're communicating and identifying where the gaps are.
For sure. So one of the questions that I want to ask you now is one of the things that we kind of did over the course of time, but would love to see when we asked you who you were as a leader, how would you define that for those who are listening now?
Before or afterwards? Or both?
Both. Share both. Yeah, please.
Okay. I think before I was a leader, that I've been described as a cockroach. So like I've always believed that my team's not successful if we don't all cross the finish line together. So I've always been able to get the programs across the finish line. Um, and I'm pride myself on that. Um, so I'm very focused on the team, on making sure that they have what they need to do their job, and communicating upwards as well. Afterwards, after taking the program, I'm still focused and understand that the empathy and the resilience of leadership, I have those as a very strong strength. What I learned is the ability to go to the sponsors or to the corporation and say, we have, this is hard. This work is hard that we do in terms of project work, but I've got you. And we're going to have some hard days. And remember you saying this, Eileen, we're going to have some hard days, and it's hard work, and it's always not going to be fun, but we'll do this together, and I've got you. That's what I learned from this program. And I think that that's really important, because sponsors need to know that their leader has theirs back.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And it is that, like you said, it is that community of people too, right? So you are not alone. You are not an island in doing this. And I think that's one of the things we sometimes forget about or lose out on, is that there are others. We can ask for help. There is support. There is communication that we need to have, and collaboration. So I've got my kids who are going back to school today, finally. So I know, yes, clap, please, everyone. But yeah, having that community to say, this is where we're at, this is how things are going, I need you to be a part of this, and to make sure to take those into account from the very beginning is incredibly important. I know that was one of the things we had talked about during this, was how do we communicate at the beginning what we need from each other, and how do we continue to deliver that going forward. So with B.R.A.V.E, I mean, again, it was just so much fun to see the growth from this cohort together. Where do you see yourself growing and or learning in 2024? What does that look like for you, Colleen, as a leader?
I think putting into practice what we've learned, right? And getting the feedback from the team, and maybe doing a little bit more of a drill down of, where have you felt that you couldn't show up, and how can I help you show up? Making sure that you're showing up. And making sure that, I show up when needed and where needed, and make sure that I'm not where I'm not needed, because then I have something else to do as well.
That's a good point. I like that. I think that's a question we can all ask, huh?
I think so.
Right? Like, where am I showing up when I'm not needed, and where am I showing up, or where am I not showing up when I really need to be? And in what capacity? What does that look like? How do you define that? What is showing up? I mean, for some people it's just being present, but I think for others it's really, wholeheartedly showing up, right? And what's important when? I mean, there's so many pieces to that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So leadership for Colleen for the foreseeable future. What does that mean to you, and how do you plan to not just grow but lead from here? I mean I know you're working on some things in Canada and and doing that, but what does leadership mean for you for the rest of your life?
Just, I think staying in front of all the obstacles and making sure that they're not obstacles, or just opportunities, and making sure that everyone knows from the early stages and throughout the process how we're resolving the issues and how we're knocking them off, and it being a successful deployment, right? That, oh, this is a new approach. I like that approach. Like, I guess growing the community of authentic leaders would be where I would like to see myself.
Yes, I love that. And I mean, that just makes me so excited. But that is the point, right? Like that's the whole point, is growing the community of leaders that are doing this work, that are talking this way, that are speaking this way. And I mean, it's not just about Jen and I have talked about this, and we talk about it in the accelerator, that yes, this is the way we lead. And it's not just a matter of using the right words and doing these things. This is what actually drives performance too in the long run. This is what helps businesses be sustainable. Um, that's what we want to see, right? That both of those can be true and are true when doing this work. And so to share that is for us the most important piece of that. And to see you, I mean, to hear you say that, just, I mean, it puts a huge smile on my face to know that that just gets to continue to expand. So we didn't plan that. Anyone that's listening, that was not wasn't planted in any way, shape, or form, but really amazing to hear. So Jen, I'm going to so we have just a couple more minutes. So I just want to let you jump in, and just if there's anything you kind of want to say before we close, or have any questions or anything like that for Colleen. But I'm just, again, always amazed with the people that we get to work with and meet. And Colleen, you are no exception to that. So thank you so much for giving of your presence and time and space and everything with us. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Us too. I feel the same. I just wanted to say thank you again. And we're here to support you in any way. If there's anything we can do to be of service to you and to help you, I know that there's nothing but great stuff ahead for you. So I'm excited to see what all that entails. But thanks for spending time with us, Colleen.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right. Well, everyone who has joined in, thank you so much. We look forward to meeting you again in the next few weeks as we go through more of these LinkedIn Lives. And it's really just been a lot of fun. We didn't crack up this time, so thank goodness.
We're in one piece. I don't know if my lungs could handle laughing that hard right now.
So true. Well, enjoy your Monday and week, and we will be here back again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.